Hello and welcome back to my channel, to me, to myself, to you, because it's been a minute. My hair is different. I'm in a different state now. It's been a long time, but we're here. So let's get into what I've been reading this month. So currently you guys are in like my corner of my bed because this is the only nice wall, the only decorated space really in my dorm right now because I've only been here for a week. And I ran out of command strips and hooks, so I have no way of like hooking anything. So currently my only lighting is my desk lamp, and we're just gonna be moving around my dorm as the year goes on and I find a dedicated like filming spot, but you can look at my little basic collage wall in the background. My reading goal for this year is about double what I read last year, 50 books, which is about a book a week. And I think I'm technically a book ahead, but if I don't finish the book I'm reading this week, I'll be just like on par. So I kind of have to. So this month I read 4 books, and in the next 2 days, let's hope I can make it 5. So let's just get into it. I don't have the books with me because, like I said, I just moved last week. So I'll just put the little picture up here. I didn't bring them down with me because I don't have the space. But I started off the year, technically I started reading this in December, but I finished it in January, so I finished it the first day of January, so we're just gonna count it. And it is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. So I got this in an Owl Crate box. Yes, I got this in an Owl Crate box. And I overall rated it 3.5 stars, which is actually kind of a low rating from what most people rate it. I'm pretty sure it has like a very high rating on Goodreads, like 4 point something stars pretty much is the average. And I did love a lot about this book, and I wish I could rate it more, but I just couldn't, and I'll explain why. So I'm going to explain what I loved about it first, because I did love so much about it. I loved the premise, Arthurian legends and things like that. I think there was a lot of creative liberty taken with it, and I didn't like it at first, but as the story went on, I actually did really like what she did with the Arthurian legends and what she did with that like magic world. So I did like that. And I love the characters. Obviously, as you can see from the cover, our protagonist is a woman of color, and those issues of like racism on a southern campus and in like this weird secret society are addressed really well, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But on top of having you know, a person of color as a main character, you also had non-binary characters and other like LGBTQ characters. So it was like a diverse cast, and I just really like that. That's obviously very important in literature. And if you've read the book, it's just so cool how she like mixes it at the end, but I can't really say too much because I don't want to spoil it. But as far as she addresses these issues of like racism on a southern campus really, really well and really accurately. Obviously I'm not a person of color on a southern campus, so I can't like say yes, this is how an experience is, but the author is a person of color, and she does talk about, at the very end there is an author's note talking about the history of UNC where it's set, and it's very problematic history and like these lasting effects that slavery still has, not only in this area but like on the country as a whole. And she blends these ideas really, really well with magical realism and the idea of root magic, which is something that's brought in later in the book. And just the way she blends these magical worlds together with like this whole like magical realism theme, which I didn't fully expect, even though I probably should have, because the description literally says like Southern Black girl magic. I was just like, whoa. And so like the second half of the book, like 10 out of 10. If I could just read the second half of the book, 5 stars easy. The reason it has such a low rating is because, well, not such a low rating, but like a lower rating than most, is because it took me so long to get into it. I did not like the first half of the book. I didn't. It didn't move slow, but like there was just something about the way the plot was moving along. I don't know, it felt like it was playing on like a lot of tropes in a weird way, but then like it ultimately wasn't. I don't know. And I think a lot of it, like with the magic world, I was just very confused by the magical world. It is a very complicated one. And I think a lot of the reason I was confused is because we are dealing with an unreliable narrator. We're following Bree's perspective through this, the main character. She is learning about this world just as like we are at the same time. And at times she's lied to and at times she's confused. My issue is when like those confusions and those lies are resolved, it's not like a clear line. It's not always set and cut and dry. And so sometimes that got very confusing to me. At the end, I'm like confident I understand it now. But like with the Arthurian things, there's like scions and vassals, but it's like scion, vassal, and then there's heirs. It's a little confusing, but I think that's mainly a me thing because other people seem to get it. I just am not. It just took me out of the story because at times I had to like go back and like, wait, what does that mean? Wait, why I thought she was above him and why I thought. So yeah, I was able to predict a lot of what happened from pretty early on. Like I made a note in the book at one point like, oh, this is gonna happen, or this person is actually this person, or blah 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 blah. But I didn't hate that. Like it didn't, when those like things were revealed and I was like, oh, I'm right, it didn't be like, oh, like I'm right. Like it was done well. And so it didn't really affect my rating of it, but like I just thought something I thought I would say. So yeah, overall I do recommend you pick it up. You might like it better than I did. I just wasn't the biggest fan. Okay, the next book that I read was King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. I love the Grishaverse. I could sit here and talk about it for hours. I love the world building in this universe, and with every book it just gets better and better and better and better and better. It just feels so connected and so well-rounded. I love it. The world building is just like top tier and so well thought out and amazing. I'm now at this point 6 books into the universe. King of Scars is the 6th book in this universe, which involves similar characters and things like that. So I have strong attachments to all of these characters, and they all are really fleshed out and done really well, and they're not one-sided. There is no one-sided personality of any character. Even the more minor characters that we've seen on the sidelines and followed along, and even some characters that are obviously only going to be in this book alone. Like, they're just so good. It definitely kept me on my toes. I was not able to like predict anything that was going on. I was just like, whoa, okay, we're doing this now. Okay, we're doing this now. And this is something Leigh Bardugo does really well. The book is full of twists and turns, and you never know when the book is like, even though you know how many pages you have left, you never know when the problem's gonna end. You never know. And the end definitely took me for a loop. And I will be opening Rule of Wolves. I will be opening Rule of Wolves the day it comes out. And where did I go wrong? I lost a friend somewhere along in the bed. I ultimately rated this 4 stars. I can't tell you why. Like, with any of her books that I've rated not 5 stars, like I really can't really tell you why I rated it less than 5 stars. But like, for example, Crooked Kingdom, I read it and I was like, that's a 5-star book. That one hit everything for me. I just, wow. This one didn't do that, although I like objectively loved everything about it. I can't really explain that one to you. I can't. but it was a 4-star book. But definitely really good. Obviously, if you love, the Grishaverse, keep reading it. Just keep reading it. And if you love Six of Crows, keep reading it. Also, let's just have a moment of appreciation for the entertainment photos that just came out for the Shadow and Bone series. It looks so good. It looks so good. I'm gonna hate it. I know I'm objectively gonna hate the TV show, but the casting. The third book I read is Homebody by Rupi Kaur. And I rated this 3 stars. When Milk and Honey came out, and even Sun and Her Flowers, I loved that type of poetry, but I'm not sure if I can read her type of her style of poetry anymore, just because when Milk and Honey came out, and I don't want to say she was the first one to do it, but she really did popularize that, and everyone knows, and especially on Bookstagram and Tumblr, there's really aesthetic photos of one of her poems, and people putting milk and you guys know what I'm talking about. You do. And then it became a joke. I don't know if she meant it as a joke, but Gabby Hanna's poetry, or Bo Burnham did a book like this as well, and there was a lot of funny there was one that came out vines, and so it almost became a joke in my eyes. And I don't like thinking of her poetry like that, because it deals with really, really heavy stuff. There's trigger warnings for sexual assault, and I feel weird not in liking her poetry as much, because I feel then it invalidates her experience and her writing, which it doesn't. I'm not sure if this poetry can be for me anymore, just because it's been so altered by other societal influences, and I don't really know if that's fair. I also need to give this another read. I need to reread this book, only because it has to do with, so I read it really late. I read it 3 a.m. one night, and I finished it in an hour. And I just don't think I gave the book its due diligence. I don't. And I do want to go back and reread it, and hopefully I want to give this a higher rating than 3 stars, but I can't. It just is, it's not bad, but no poem in it made me go, whoa. And I don't know if that was my 3 a.m. foggy brain. I don't know if I'm just dazed. I just don't know if I like these poems as much. I don't know. And I feel I can't give it a valid literary criticism right now. But that's my literary criticism on it. The last book I finished in January is The Lives of Saints, also by Larue. And I give that one 3 stars as well. I love I love the Grishaverse. Anything that has to do with part of the Grishaverse, I just love being immersed in it. And it's really cool to see this book that is brought up multiple times, especially in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. And it's portrayed as this children's book that's supposed to introduce them to saints. And that's what it feels like. It feels like a book I might have had as a kid, explaining Christian saints to me or something like that. And the artwork is obviously is beautiful. And I mean, you could sit there and analyze the artwork for probably as much as it takes to read the story. I don't think you have to read it to understand the story. If you are a fan of the Grishaverse, it is something really fun to have and to pick up, and I think it's a really good companion to the series. It doesn't take long to read. The stories are generally no more than 2 or 3 pages, and that's a long story. It does include a lot of saints, some you've heard of, some you haven't. I think when I read it at a really good time in the series. Just because coming from King of Scars, there is a lot of discussion as to why saints, who are generally thought to be Grisha, always martyred. Why do we always have to die? And that is a really important conversation that comes up throughout the whole series. It's kind of a theme that comes up, but especially in King of Scars, I feel it's addressed more explicitly. And it does contextualize these discussions that the characters are having. So I don't really know what else to say to it. Again, say anything with Larue, I can't really tell you why I had to take it down to 3 stars. I read it, I wasn't overwhelmed by it, and it doesn't really add to any plot. It's just there. And it is fun to like see, you know, Alina and the Darkling and characters that we know in there too. And it's fun to know it's like a living text. Like obviously like that was added and changed. I just think it's a fun idea to like have that. But again, I don't think it's needed. Like I think I needed to read it, but like I'm happy I did. Like I'm happy I have it. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that one. The last book is one that I am currently reading, and I'm hoping to finish in the next 2 days, but I don't really know if I will, but I think I might be able to. And that is The Invisible Life of Addie Larue. I don't feel like I need to talk about this much because everyone is so like hyped up on this book. Like everyone and their mother loves this book, and I thought for that reason I would not like it. But it is like my type of fiction. It is my type of fiction, and I recently come to understand that I love Faustian deals. When people sell their souls, I'm sold. I'm sold. My favorite book in the world is The Picture of Dorian Gray. And that's the ultimate, like, you know, sell my soul. And that's what this book is about. If you didn't know, now you do. It's about a girl who sells her soul for immortality. But the curse in this is nobody remembers her. The minute she like looks away from someone, or the minute like they like leave the room or fall asleep, they forget her, and she cannot leave a mark on the world that she wants so much to be a part of. This has potential to be a 5-star book. As it stands right now, it's a good 4 stars. I really want it to be a 5-star. I really want it to be a 5-star because I would love to have a 5-star in my first month of reading. So we'll see how that goes. I am excited for it. It's just, I think, my type of fiction. It's beautiful. It's beautiful writing. The writing in it is gorgeous. And just like the actual book itself, like you can kind of see, like, look at the birds. And there's just that. And then the inside, the color. I mean, come on. Come on.
Thank you. Can I hear a little commotion for the dress?
And I guess you'll hear about this when I do my next recap. Because I'll just probably include my final thoughts on it in my February recap, even though I hope to read it in January. Or you can I'll probably leave a review on Goodreads, so my Goodreads is always linked down below if you want to see what I'm reading there. Although I really don't like Goodreads tracker, I only use it for like the sake of like the reading challenge. But whatever. But I definitely understand the hype. I'm kind of jealous because I know Joel, like from Fictional Fates, that's loud. Joel from Fictional Fates has like 5 editions of this book. And I'm like, goals, maybe. But anywho, that is that. I'm very glad I impulse bought this book. Okay, everyone. So that is all I have for you today. Hopefully I'll see you next week. Fingers crossed I actually start filming and uploading, but who knows? You never know with me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you read any of the books that I mentioned down below and if you agree with my ratings. And of course, if you like my videos and like what I talk about, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And if you really want to, hit the little bell so you get notifications every time I post, because clearly I don't post regularly. That's all I have to say. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys later.